Okay. Uh, well, good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Vinny Chopra and Beau Eckstein, your hosts for the Vinney and Beau Show. We come live to you every Friday at 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern. Thank you for joining us. And as a lot of people join, please let us know where you are from. Tell us your name, and please be ready for a exciting episode that we're going to have today. Hunter Jones is in the house from Knoxville, Tennessee. I had the pleasure to meet Hunter in about a month back or so. We are purchasing some multifamily there. That's what I do. A syndication and education is my business, where we are able to purchase larger multifamily apartments, senior assisted living, hotels, and things like that. And Brother Beau actually is the great mortgage broker, and who's able to write up excellent loans and close them fast. All kinds of loans, from bridge loans, Bo, and all across USA. So thank you for joining. Let us know and chat with us. And I would like to introduce Brother Hunter. Hunter, how are you, brother? Oh,
He's muted.
oh,
So I
Hunter.
had
muted.
it muted.
There you go.
I'm doing
How are you?
awesome. I appreciate you having me on here.
Oh, totally. No, it's exciting. Let me kind of tell a little bit about Hunter. Hunter is a real estate investor in Knoxville, Tennessee. He got his start in summer of 2018. So a lot of our audience is kind of getting into it. So this will be amazing to get into your mind how you made that shift and what it took you, and how you were able to really cope with the fear and a lot of other things that everybody goes through, and the finances and all, to take that big step. Over the last 3 years, Hunter has been a part of over 30 single family homes transactions and acquired over 100 multifamily units through syndications. Most importantly, recently, Hunter has transitioned into the self storage business industry and owns 10,000 square feet of the self storage facilities. And his brother, and he's currently looking to acquire more. Hunter's contact is listed. Hunter Jones will let him kind of talk about it. So no, thank you, Hunter. Tell us a little bit more about you. Did you grow up in Tennessee? How did you kind of give us some feedback? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've grown up here in Knoxville my whole life. I was born and raised here. I did move to Georgia in 2012. I went to college in Berry College over in Rome, Georgia. It's about an hour northwest of Atlanta,
Uh-huh.
and majored in finance and economics there. Went to banking in Atlanta, worked for a warehouse lending bank. I had no idea what this was when I took the job, but we funded large mortgage companies with really large lines of credits. And I was in charge of analyzing those companies as well as the investors buying the loans just to make sure they were solvent. So I learned all about the home mortgage process, but really didn't enjoy it very much. And
Hmm.
so my wife and I decided about 2 years in that we were going to move back to Knoxville, and I was going to pursue real estate full time with my brother and a third partner, Peter. And you've had Harper on the show, I think, a few weeks ago.
Yes.
He does in infinite banking. I think he was talking about that on here.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so he'd already been in real estate for about a year. He was still in college. He started really young. And I was kind of watching from the sidelines remote, seeing how all this was going. And I don't come from a business family or an entrepreneurial family. So to me, it was like crazy. I was like, what are you doing? And then he made double my salary while he was in college. And I was like, okay, maybe he knows something that I don't know. So I straight up just quit what I was doing in 2018. Well, we planned it out for a little while. And then my wife got a job up here. So we just lived off of her income. And then anything I've done, we just reinvest into more properties and we just snowball it. And it's been a fun ride. I've really enjoyed it, and I will not go back. I will say that.
Sure, sure. So essentially, like, in real estate also, there are so many different facets, right? Single family homes. I know you were there, and now you're shifting. You went to multifamily syndications, investing as LP, probably limited partnership, but then now in self storage. So, kind of tell us, our audience, again, everybody joining us, if you don't mind, please let us know in the chat what state you are from, what city possibly. We'd love to bring you up and ask questions also of Hunter and Beau and myself. So no, thank you for joining. We are going live right now in YouTube, in Facebook, in LinkedIn simultaneously, and the links can be shared. Yeah, yeah, sure, Hunter. Huh?
Yeah. So in the beginning, we didn't have any money. We didn't start out later in our careers where we were able to have amassed a lot of cash to invest. So we started with wholesaling houses to make cash to then throw into multifamily properties. And so
Mhm.
that's why we started with that method. And then we just started finding these multifamily properties, anywhere from duplexes up to our largest was a 35 unit.
Mhm.
And so we were able to start buying this, some with our own money, but we did do two syndications in the last few years where we would take on LP partners to go bigger, and then we
Yeah.
would handle the whole thing. We would manage the whole thing. And then we've actually taken both of those full cycle now, just because the prices have taken off so much in the last couple of years. Um, and then with the self storage, I never thought I would do self storage. I was always a big fan of the multifamily,
Yes.
and I still am. It's great, but I started learning about self storage last summer to last fall, out of all places on Twitter. I was on Twitter,
Mhm.
found a really good real estate community on there. Everyone was super helpful, and I just started reading about self storage. So I started learning about it passively. And Harper and I, we had this facility we bought fall in our lap around October, November of last year. And
Mhm.
I would have normally passed on it because I only do multifamily. That's what I'd done.
Mhm.
But because
Mhm.
I'd been learning about it just passively, I was like, hey, the numbers work on this. This is a pretty good deal. I think we could operate this thing pretty easily.
Mhm.
And we can afford this ourselves. We don't need to take on any investors. We can just handle it all. So we bought it at the very end of last year, December 30th, and it's been great. I mean, the thing basically runs on autopilot. I've got a person nearby that lives there that she'll, clean out units, like sweep them out, and she'll go check on the place for me. I go there
Mhm.
maybe once every 2 months, and I'll kind of run everything else remotely. And I think at this point we've over doubled our equity since we bought that. So we're looking at either refinancing it or pot- potentially selling it when we hit long term gains, or 1031ing it, just to go to bigger ones. So I love it. It's different in multifamily, that it's more, I would say, hands off. I never see my tenants. They aren't there very often.
Yeah.
Turnover's higher though. People aren't as attached to it. They're very price sensitive. So
Mhm.
there's differences, pros and cons. It's also way easier to build them. They can kind of pop up wherever, so you can have
Mhm.
supply issues. But um, at the end of the day, if you find a property with rents that are undervalued and the property's undervalued, you can still make money on it just like any other property. So it's been really fun, and so we're looking for more of them, mainly in the Knoxville MSA.
Ah.
But I've bidded on ones in Chattanooga. We've looked in Florida with some other friends too. So
Mhm.
we're kind of looking wherever, but mainly starting where we are, just because that's where I already invest.
How many units is that one, if I may ask? And then also,
Yeah.
think I read somewhere 3 mile radius or 5 mile radius, people living in that vicinity will come to that storage unit. Is that true? Or kind of tell us a little
Yeah.
bit more about the industry? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so typically 3 to 5 miles is going to be your sweet spot.
Yes.
You go beyond that, you're going to start running into other facilities that people are usually closer to. So yeah, 3 to 5 miles is pretty much the go-to metric. Our facility is a little different. It's 10,000 square feet total, but I'd say it's about 50 to 60 units, depending how you count it.
Oh,
We have a really large front office there. It used to be a commercial property, then they added on self storage. And the
mm,
previous owners had a separate business in that front office.
I see.
Then they sold that business and leased it out to a pool and spa company.
Oh,
So they have a long term lease on that. So we make it's like a hybrid commercial and self storage. So we make money from that building. Then there's also a really large building that there's this rock band that rents that
I
place for all their tour gear. They've been there for like 10 years. And we've got a couple RV spots, and then we've got the self storage. So it's about 10,000 square feet. It'd probably be closer to about 100 units if you looked at it just on a straight self storage, but it's
mm.
about 50 to 60 units depending on how you divide them out, because some of them have dividers you can pull out.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Bo.
Yeah, no, it's I actually been working on the financing side. I've been working a lot more in
Hmm.
self-storage facilities. I was just looking at one, and my sponsor borrower decided not to buy it, but it was interesting because half were like built, and then they had brought on shipping containers for the other, and
Oh,
that's like, it's pretty smart. You can just really, I mean, if you have the space, you can
uh-huh.
just you can buy shipping containers and use those as facilities, and then put them together and put a roof line over them. I mean, they're really easy to assemble. I think I'm seeing a lot more conversion too, like of certain like obsolete office space and different retail.
Mhm.
So I think like it makes sense, especially if it's a area where people are moving and there's a lack of storage, right? It's like it's kind of what I like about it is it's kind of hands off compared to most things, and you're not dealing with like the eviction process is simple, right? You just file something and you change locks, and I think that's appealing from an investment standpoint. And then I had another colleague that would go in and he would do like retrofits of like big like office buildings and just convert them like when there are these obsolete buildings. So I think you see a lot of that kind of stuff. I mean, I think there's a lot of low hanging fruit all over. Mom and pop type self storage facilities you can get in with very low capital, probably do some seller financing. Well, we're seeing a lot of people come to us for SBA because you can do SBA 7A or SBA 504.
Uh-huh.
You can build with SBA financing, so you can have a piece of dirt and just get it entitled and get 90% financing. I mean, it's kind of
Mm.
you can have up to 5 million in SBA, but if you do SBA Green 504, you can have up to 16.5 million, which means you have roughly 40 million in purchasing power. So it's a viable tool, to do these SBA. And SBA in the last year has done more loans than they have in many, many years. So they're really stimulating the economy right now. So
Mhm.
if you're able to get SBA financing, they do take a while. The 504 do, but
Mhm.
if you're planning out this project, it's cool, right? You got the dirt, you're getting it entitled. The time you go through, it's going to be 3 or 4 months anyway. So
Mhm.
it does work well with construction.
So right, so right. So how about the absorption, right? And also you just mentioned, Hunter, the people are price sensitive. That's something you mentioned. So, do you see transition that will also bring more cleanup fees and all, but there is no personnel whatsoever? Are you using also electronic locks and electronic gates and all that? Can you expand on that? Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a gate at our property with a keypad. Everyone has their own code, so we can lock everyone out remotely. That's one thing in storage is, in Tennessee, you have till the fifth to pay. After that, you can lock somebody out.
Mhm.
Whereas apartments, you can't do that. That was actually one thing that interests me in self storage. With COVID, we saw so many of the laws change with evictions,
Mhm.
which is still going on. And quite frankly, I'm kind of wondering if it'll ever go back to how it ever used to be. There's arguments to be made there, but in the self storage, nobody lives there, or at least they shouldn't be living there.
Yeah,
Sometimes
right.
you do have that. So, like you said earlier, getting people out of there is much easier. It's just filing a lien, so you don't have to go through the whole eviction process.
Yeah.
And so ours definitely, we have the gate, we've got cameras, I can see everything remotely going on. I don't
Mhm,
use digital locks, though they do exist.
mhm.
My person that lives nearby, she can just overlock units as needed,
Nice.
or they can cut them off very easily. We do everything software based. I take rents only online. I don't take any checks or
Very
cash. So
good.
everything is paid automatically.
Mhm,
About, I think, 68% of our tenants, if I believe right, are on auto pay. So
mhm,
by the first of the month, all that comes in, and then
mhm.
the rest of them pay just manually on their accounts. Mostly by the fifth. There's always somebody late every month, no matter
Mhm.
what property you're in. But when we bought it, everything was paper. There was no software. The
Mhm.
owners were picking up cash. They were spending over 10 hours a month on rent collection,
Wow.
and we spend hardly any time because it's
Oh,
all automated.
yeah.
So we do as much of that as we can. I probably spend maybe an hour a week on average dealing with it at this point. So that's another thing I like about it is it's more hands off, to be able to run it. And I think everyone's kind of figuring that out because a lot of people are trying to flood the industry as well.
Sure, sure. Excellent, excellent. So, what are the statistics? Can you share with us? Like in the whole nation, I know people will be watching this episode, and we do also make it into a podcast. Also, Hunter. So, what are the statistics? Oh, also, John, Bo, there is a question Jennifer is asking: how do you qualify for SBA loan? I know it's a pretty big question. Can you kind of address to that one? Yeah.
Yes, it's very simple. All right, so we need to get a couple things in order. If this is your first business, meaning that you don't have any other businesses, we need personal tax returns for the past 3 years. Year-to-date interim statement if you're self-employed. We need an executive summary. We need Form 413, which is an SBA financial statement. We need a debt schedule of any business debts that you do have if you have an existing business. If you're buying an existing SBA, or excuse me, if you're buying an existing facility, we need 3 years of business tax returns and a year-to-date interim statement on the business. Personal financial statement, I said that already.
Yeah.
Executive summary, you need to have a good executive summary, especially if you don't have experience. We got to sell the reason why you're going to be able to come and run this facility with no experience. So talk
Yeah.
about your business, what you've done in the past, things like that. They pull
Right.
a credit score. We need, typically a 680 or better. If we do an SBA 7A, they always look to collateralize. So you can expect they're going to put a cross lien on your primary residence or maybe a rental property. For the 7A, for the 504, that's a different beast within itself because there's two loans within SBA 504, conventional first loan and the SBA piece. But their approval process is very similar. The difference is on a 504, we work with a nonprofit that works with SBA. It's called a CDC, and they have to get the package the second piece up and get SBA blessing. If I do an SBA 7A with a delegated bank or non-bank delegated lender, means they have full authority. They can just get your SBA 7A loan done right in the bank. So the 504 has to go outside. That's why they take longer. 504 is probably better because as far as rate and term, the reason why you'd want to use a 7A is because you can also buy intangible or what we call blue sky, which is like the business value that doesn't have, like 504 is good for hard assets, right? Construction, things. But if you're buying a business, so let's say that we're buying a self-storage facility for $2 million and the appraisal comes back and says, okay, the property itself is worth 1.5, the business is worth 500,000. 504 doesn't fund that business value. So that's why you would use an SBA 7A instead of a 504, because 504 just funds hard assets. So there's
I see.
differences. So when people come to me, I can figure it out exactly how to structure it, which bank will do it or which non-bank will do it. If it's construction, we need to know all these pieces up front. But generally, it's really kind of an easy process. I mean, it's not like rocket science. It's just like people need to put the right things in place. And if you're if you're going to send your loan in, you need a pro forma, just like in anything in life, right? Like, hey, this is what we're doing right now, but here's our anticipation for the next 3 years. Here's what the seller's doing. And if the business is not properly run right now, and it's not going to debt service, then you're going to have trouble financing it with SBA because they're looking at previous cash flows. So on something like that, then we change the game plan and maybe go into bridge financing, get it stabilized, and then refinance with an SBA product or a conventional product. So there's a lot of ways to do it. It's all financing is pretty much the same. Is it stabilized or not stabilized? Is it construction, right? Like the real principles of financing multifamily and self-storage, similar concepts. The only difference is SBA will fund self-storage because they construe that could be an owner user business, as opposed to a multifamily property. You can't finance with SBA because that's a investor type deal, right? Which kind of doesn't make sense because we're all investors, but that's why SBA doesn't finance multifamily, because it's an investment. So anything owner user we can fund with SBA and right now everybody's doing SBA financing because essentially SBA guarantees 80 or 90% on that loan. So the banks have very low risk as long as they do their due diligence. That's why they're able to do higher leverage deals. That's why they're encouraged. Plus the banks make a lot of money on SBA 7As. So they would rather do SBA 7As than 504s because they make a lot more money, truth be known.
I see. No, thank
I
you.
learned that at the bank we worked at. We did some SBA loans, and it was really hard to get them done across the finish line. But they were very lucrative with how much the bank makes from them because of the guarantee portion.
Yeah, there's a guarantee fee. But yeah, feel free to call me in the future. I can probably get you a better deal.
Sure. Hey, that's great. Bo Eckstein, right there. I know we used to do captions and all that. I know we have done it. There is boecksteins.com. Everybody, please, if you want to write it down and all that. Myself, I'm vinnychopra.com, right there, our websites. And we do it every week show so that we could really share with you the syndication part of the business. We buy multifamilies in my company, educational company, senior assisted living, ground up constructions, management, all those. And then Bo does all the mortgages and all. So let's come back to our friend. Yeah, Hunter, what can you share with us more, buddy, towards the what can
I
yeah.
just want to make a comment. It's amazing because Hunter's pretty young, I think. What's your age, Hunter, if you don't mind?
27.
Okay.
No, look at that.
So
Yeah.
I just want to make a point that, like, the power of information, because if you heard what he said, he went on to Twitter, he got some information. He went on to YouTube, he got information. Like, it's not, I think that's the difference that I see in the world today, is that the information is at your fingertips.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you can learn enough from going through and listening to like all of Vinny's free courses, right? If you want to expedite your learning process, you can get coaching and so forth, right? That we know that, but the information is there, and it's just amazing. Here's like proof and point that, he only worked in the W-2 world probably for two or 3 years and said, you know what, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go do my own thing. And I think we're going to see more and more and more and more over the, as people catch on. I mean, obviously there's always got to be somebody that's going to, work at the restaurants and do that kind of thing. But I think you'll see a big push for more people trying to, do their own thing, because it just makes more sense. Like, he saw his brother in college 2xing his W-2 salary, and he's like, well, why do I want a W-2 salary? Right? Because I get taxed higher. I do. Like, it's the worst place to be, essentially.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Sorry.
if I can expound on that,
Sure.
I'm a big believer in that this is the easiest time ever to do whatever you want. I mean, 10 years ago, we didn't have, well, I guess you had the iPhone, but like not everything was mobile like it is now. Like, you can get your email, and you can use G Suite for $5 a month. You can get a website through Squarespace. You can do a Shopify store. Like, there's so many tools. It's so cheap. Everything is on YouTube. If you truly have the time, you can go find anything you want. You can network with people. I mean, on Twitter, I've met so many people across the country and even outside the country, in different fields. Now, I have paid for coaching as well. I've paid for mentorship as well. But there is so much knowledge out there that is so easy to find. Just most people don't want to take the work to do it. That's the difference.
So true, so true. Mindset. Can you kind of share with us, what are you and how does your day go by and things like that, Hunter? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something for me. Like I have to push towards always being better at that. I think some people are maybe naturally good at it, but I have to, keep myself in the zone to keep pushing forward, either through reading books. A big one for me is I did 75 Hard last year, which is a program from Andy
Mm.
Frisella. I absolutely loved that. Did you do
I
it
did it
too?
too. I did it too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Awesome.
it was
I need to
awesome.
do it again. I need to do it again.
I do too.
I honestly,
You should do it.
this is what I want to do. I want to do like 75 hard, take a week off to eat all my junk food, and do 75. Like, and let your body heal, and
Yeah.
then do 75. I mean, you feel so good because it's not that hard. It's all in the mind, right? Like you wake up, you hit the gym, you drink your water, you read your 10 pages,
Yes.
and then you do your. I do a 45-minute walk outside because one of your workouts have to be outside, right? But you get
That's
into
what I do.
this routine, and it just becomes easier and easier.
Yeah.
And then when you get off of it, it's funny, right, Hunter? Because then it's like, then you like kind of forget, and like I still go to the gym every day, but I like adding in that walk. That what the consistency of doing an extra 45-minute walk every day, right? So I just decided that I'm going to buy one of those treadmills that you can use because I sit 12 hours a day, and
Yeah. Yeah.
my lower back is tight because I'm sitting so much. I'm like, why don't I just get a treadmill and just, even I'm walking one step every like 30 seconds, that
Sure.
2 or 3 hours, what is that consistent? Like I'm going to burn an extra 8,000 calories for the week, which is going to
Mhm.
burn 2.5 extra pounds, right?
And there are
Like,
desks like that, right? You could even
yeah,
put the desks there,
Yeah,
stand-up desks. I know I have mine over
I
here.
have a stand-up desk right here.
Yeah.
yeah.
Those are
I'm
amazing.
not using it at the moment.
Sure. No, it is such a pleasure to have you, Hunter. Thanks for the information, bud, and good luck to you. How can people reach you? And of course, can they invest with you or anything, or you're just, you're looking for the next storage unit, I guess, right?
Yeah, we've done two syndications. We've done some private borrowing as well for different projects.
Mhm.
Depending on we will be doing more raises in the future. It just depends on how big the next one is. If it's big enough, then yeah, we definitely will. You can reach out to me if that interests you. Happy just to talk in general. My phone number would be 865-414-5936. If you want to give me a call. My email address is easy. It's hunterajones@gmail.com. But if you really want to get involved, come join on Twitter at hunterjones23.
Yeah.
Very active on there. There's a really great real estate community on there. Everyone just gives everything away for free. I've learned a ton from there. So very active on there
Oh, really? So
as well.
Twitter also has groups? Is that right? Yeah.
It's not groups. It's just the real estate community on there is very helpful
Oh, very
and
nice.
very open. So nobody believes me about it unless they see on there, but highly recommend people get in there.
I'll
Twitter.
follow
I
you. I'll tweet you, after this. Yeah.
Yeah, you know
Yeah,
what? Twitter's always been the one social, well, not the one, but
Mm.
it's always been the kind of like one that I've not engaged with. Like
Me too. Me
I
too.
think Facebook and
Instagram.
Instagram, and like there's Clubhouse, but I do very well in my YouTube videos. But
Me too.
I don't know. I guess I just have to revisit Twitter because I mean, obviously, there's hundreds of millions of people on it. I just think that I'm getting a lot out of this show because it's like, hey, let's look at Twitter because I
Yeah.
just like avoid it, and maybe there's a lot of value because I get value in almost every social media app. So
Sure. Sure.
it should be good.
I had
Excellent.
I had the same mindset on that one, and for 10 years, I had a Twitter 10 years ago. I used it for stupid stuff, and then I unfollowed everything that wasn't business and real estate, and I muted keywords for politics on either side, and I
Mm.
only use it for real estate business, and it completely changed the game on there.
I
So
love it. Love it.
can't
I
speak high enough about it, and it's free.
Oh, I love that. I think it's better to just, like you said, you muted on this side and only the middle. I think that'll be tremendous. Hey, thank you so much, Hunter, for joining, bud. And God bless you. Looking forward to closing the deal in your town and many more deals in Knoxville. I'm very, very
Come
high
back and
on it.
visit.
Yeah, I'm going to be coming back, and thank you for so much great food over there. Oh my gosh. Every
Uh,
night you were dining me and the lunch, and oh, it was so much fun, so much fun. So I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
coming back. Yeah, yeah. And now we will be purchasing more there and other parts. And both, thank you, buddy, this morning. And everybody, please join us. It's Friday at 9:30 Pacific. We come on for about half an hour show. Vinney and Beau Show. I'm from San Francisco, Danville, Blackhawk area here. And Beau, my brother and friend, right there from Henderson, Nevada. He used to live right in the backyard, right here. And Hunter from Knoxville today. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Have a great
Thanks
one.
for having me on.
Yes. And there. Oh, what happened? Oh my gosh.